Okay, so Ed, would you introduce yourself and maybe talk a little bit about how you came to be aware of all the people?
Hi, my name's Ed, and I'm an actor, and I have worked with All About Trans by Honour Media for quite a few years now, and yeah, they told me about it and put me in touch with you, and then I saw your amazing book, and there we are.
What do you do with All About Trans?
All About Trans is about liaising with the media, about training people to work with the media, to improve the image, the reporting, the portrayal of trans people in the media. So it's a big thing, and it's a very important project, organisation that has made an enormous impact over the past few years.
Can I ask you, how do you find that you relate to the book, All the People? How was it encountering the book after you heard about it from All About Trans?
I was intrigued because I had no idea what it was about, you know. There's a son, oh, there's a book, okay. And then when I saw it, I thought, okay, this is great. The book appeals to my sensibilities because it's talking very much about the fluidity of identity, the unfixedness. I've got all these looks in my wardrobe from, dresses and, having the long hair and the sort of a very distinct look in terms of gender to completely the opposite, to hyperfemininity, to hypermasculinity, to everything. But it's all me. So I don't know which is most truthful because I didn't choose what I'm landed with. I'm just using it as a conduit to express myself. But all myself is all these things, all at the same time. So I almost have an existential crisis when I'm just deciding what to wear when I walk out of the house, because I don't always know which most effectively describes who I am. And what was great about the book is that essentially talked about the story of all these people who have this kind of fluidity. How does how we are fully explain who we are inside? And do we even think about that? That's how it resonated, because that was the angle of a lot of the people in it. Which is the important thing, I think, with the journey of everyone in life. And it's the important thing to kind of give to people the kind of insight, the thought, provoke that thought that says, is what I give off, what I portray, is that my truth? Am I truthful in my life? Am I truthful with myself? Because a lot of people, I don't think necessarily are, and they don't necessarily think about it until it causes problems, and it causes problems the world over. That's what I liked about it, as well as the fact that it was so artfully illustrated in terms of the photography, and so the accompanying, the writing was compelling as the imagery, and distilled that essence of those thought-provoking ideas, those thought-provoking existences, which are just how people who've evolved into what's in these pictures, and explaining that kind of journey that I've been kind of touching on here and there, because it's not intentional. It's just, I think that's just where you end up on the journey. You end up at this place. A lot of people do, and for some it requires physical transformation. Some it requires radical transformations. For some it requires just the smallest adjustments in life that make the biggest difference. But a piece like that does highlight it, and it highlights how important it is and how meaningful it is for people, to others who perhaps don't necessarily understand that, or don't, or haven't gone as far on that journey, who are living perhaps a little bit without engaging with themselves. And it sounds very odd, but I think a lot of people do that, sort of go through life and don't need to engage in that way. That's why the people are so interesting, the pictures are so interesting, because you have that wonderful sense of truth and authenticity and the wisdom that they have, having been on and are going on that journey, perhaps in a more visible way then some people, although we all do it, whether internally or whether our external self becomes part of it or has to become part of it because it interacts differently with how we're able to express ourselves. We don't choose what we look like. We don't choose how we come into this world, but we can choose how we express ourselves, and for some that's more of a journey of what is the most truthful way of being. For some it's a much more significant, involved process than it is for others, but internally we all have a journey of ourselves. We all negotiate the world and gain wisdom on who we are. And so much of storytelling is about that. And to me that's kind of my passion in the storytelling. The storytelling is all about, stories are all about people trying to live, facing challenges. And I've said before, and I think there's that quote, and was it Alan Rickman? I'm not sure.
Yes.
It was Alan Rickman. A story, a good piece of theatre can change the world, and it really, really can, because you don't go in, you go to be entertained, but you go to be moved, and it has that power. The storytelling, the theatre, the acting has that power to shift people. Pictures, stories shift people's thoughts. They give you that wake-up jolt, that kick into reality, that snapping out of things. It just, if I don't come out of theatre, if I don't come out of a film feeling like my world's just a little bit different now, I don't think it's done its job. But that's why I feel passionate about what I do in terms of being an artist and how it relates to the journey of being trans, because in a philosophical sense there is that connection of truth, that connection of things affecting. There's no point in life if you're not affected by things, if you're not affected by people, if you're not affected, challenged by relationships, by things that you see in life, by things that you engage with in life. It isn't just about existing. So there we have full circle. It's come round to that connection for me between acting and telling those stories, either in front of the camera or behind the camera, and writing them, and then existing as a trans or non-binary person who is simply following that journey in a more prominent way out of necessity, in a sense. So it is a fascinating parallel, and one that I could only say is a gift in life. But everyone has access to the same things. And that's why when you do have the pieces of film, theatre, books, and also like I do with groups like All About Trans, the education of the media, it has an incredible impact, an incredible benefit on the world. And that's kind of what you want, to kind of leave things a little bit better than when you came in to the room, as it were. So there you have it.